I'm Mark Halpern. We've got a focus group here today. 4 members of the group voted for President Trump, 4 voted for Joe Biden. I want to ask you all about this topic of Joe Biden's attempt to reach out to Trump voters. He says he's going to. I want to start with the Trump voters, and I want to ask you in a phrase, tell me what you think Joe Biden thinks of you and others who voted for Donald Trump. What do you think in his heart he thinks of you? Carrie, let me ask you first.
I think he thinks that we're foolish. I think
foolish.
That we think that Trump is completely right, and he's made his mistakes, but we still voted for him.
Okay. Tammy, what do you think that Joe Biden thinks of you and other people who voted for President Trump?
Probably that we're suckers, that we're not going to fight back.
Okay.
I do believe there was election interference.
Okay. Laura, what do you think Joe Biden thinks of you and others who voted for Donald Trump?
I think he's like Hillary. He thinks we're deplorable. And
okay.
Anything.
Okay. Trevor?
I agree. I think that he thinks that we're deplorable as well.
Okay. So those are the 4 Trump voters. Let me ask the 4 Biden voters the same question. Doug, what do you think Joe Biden thinks about Trump voters?
I think he thinks they're Americans.
Tyson?
Great point by Doug. I concur that we're all Americans.
And you think Joe Biden does?
Yes, I think that Joe Biden thinks that we're all Americans and that a unifying message.
Okay. Nancy, do you think Joe Biden has any feeling the way Trevor and Laura said that people who support Donald Trump are deplorable?
I cannot ever imagine Joe Biden saying or thinking anything like that. No.
Okay. And Mark, how do you feel about what Joe Biden thinks of Trump supporters?
Well, I mean, probably if you had him in a private room, I think that he would question, frankly, the blind loyalty that some Trump supporters have towards the person, as opposed to a loyalty towards our country and our Constitution. But I think to the other people's comments, I think that he believes that they're Americans and they're entitled to their voice.
All right, so folks, I want you to hash this out. I'm not the least bit surprised at the answers. The Trump supporters basically think that Joe Biden doesn't respect you or people who voted the way you did. The Biden supporters disagree. So hash that out. Tell me where the disconnect is.
One of the things that I think that gets mixed up is the messaging between Hillary and President-elect Biden. With President-elect Biden, you have someone that came up in a very different path in Scranton and then in Delaware with family issues and middle class. And he sees that in everyone, and he wants to extend the hand out to those that are in need and maybe on the other side of the aisle.
Tyson, why do you think so many Trump supporters just don't see it the way you do? And does that bother you?
No, it doesn't bother me. The reason I think that it's just gotten so toxic over the last, actually 12 years. This has just been boiling up. But certainly in 2016, as someone referred to earlier about the deplorable comment, that certainly was not a great comment and shouldn't have been said, because I don't see anyone that's deplorable within the United States of America. But certainly the messaging, and unfortunately, this is just the way that the circumstances have brought us.
Doug, does it bother you that a lot of your fellow Americans feel like the person who's taking the oath of office January 20th doesn't respect them?
It does. I mean, that's why I would like us to reach out and have conversations with each other. What I fear is that there are 2 realities. There seem to be 2 realities in the country right now, right? Where a certain portion of folks are consuming information, perhaps from certain channels, and another portion are consuming from other channels. And
now,
that's creating a rift.
Where were Democrats the last 4 years on this? Now that Joe Biden is elected president, now they want to make peace. Now they want to, and I just.
So Trevor, just to respond to that, Trevor, I'm an independent and I voted Republican most of my adult life. When Trump was elected, to be honest with you, I didn't vote for Trump either time. But when he was elected, I was like, let's see what he can do. Right. Let's support him. I was in Palm Springs not long after the election with all of the Not My President, rallies going on there. And to me, it's just like, we have to get together.
Yes.
Right. We have to work together.
I heard something a couple days ago, which I thought was wonderful, which was we all have our politics, and the Democrats and the Republicans should be debating, but they shouldn't be fighting.
Correct.
Looking for,
exactly.
What I'm
100% agree.
From Biden is I'm looking for some accountability. I'm looking for, he's the president of the United States. He should be answering the tough questions like, what kind of money?
He hasn't answered them for 47 years. Do you think he's going to start now?
What's the tough question?
47 years.
He's the president of the United States. We don't know what his business is in China with his son. We don't know, why not count the votes for the election? Of course, he wants us to be American, and he wants us to all be family oriented.
What votes weren't counted?
Excuse me?
What votes weren't counted?
Ones that were thrown away.
Recount. I think that being doing an investigation into the election would be take that subject off the table. And I think answering the tough questions around some of the other controversies surrounding him would also take that off the table. And nothing is being taken off the table.
I want to wrap up, show of hands on two questions. First is, regardless of who you voted for, raise your hand if you think President Trump in general respects people who voted for Joe Biden. Raise your hand if you think President Trump respects people who voted for Joe Biden. Okay. And raise your hand if you think Joe Biden in general respects people who voted for Donald Trump. Okay. We're going to leave it there. Thank you all very much for participating, and thank you for watching. We'll see you again right here soon on Wide World of News.